Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's chapter meeting from the South Central Texas chapter. Jamie Sagan, current president, and today we're going to share results from our chapter participation survey, which we distributed a couple of months ago. So we'll share some results from that survey, and then we'll have a couple of announcements. And then at that time, we'll turn off the recording and we'll just have a nice little breakout session just to chat and everything. So I just want to welcome you all, and if you're viewing this recording, welcome. All right, so we've already covered what we're going to cover tonight, so we'll go ahead and proceed with our presentation. So a little bit about the survey. Back in October, we distributed a survey. We wanted to find out why people didn't want to join a chapter, those that didn't belong to one. And we also wanted to find out why people wanted to stay with a chapter. And so we came up with a survey in which we would interview various categories of members to get those answers. And so we devised a survey, and we devised different questions based on two different target audiences, which were, one, the current South Central Texas chapter members at the time. And then we also ran the membership report and sent the survey to those STC members living in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma who listed themselves as unaffiliated with a chapter. And out of those surveys, it was probably about 100 or so. We got a total of 35 responses, about half from chapter members and a little more than half from the unaffiliated members. And so tonight we will review the results from that survey, and those results will help us in developing future programming and in helping to find ways in which we can reach out to our member base. So first of all, we had the introductory question that we asked everybody, and this determined which set of questions you were going to answer. So we did this, we broke down this survey into three parts. So we got one with all participants, and then we'll cover the results from chapter members, and then finally the unaffiliated members. So first of all, we asked, are you a member of the STC South Central Texas chapter? And we got a good base. We got a good even base. So almost 55% and 45% are not. And so now we're going to break off into the questions that we asked the chapter members. So we asked them, how long have they been a member of the STC South Central Texas chapter? And this right here, since the South Central, this includes people who've belonged to the STC Houston chapter, because as you know, the South Central Texas chapter encompasses STC Houston, which incorporated STC Austin, which incorporated San Antonio. So that whole chapter covers a wide geographic range. And so as you can see by the chart, most of those surveyed have been chapter members for 6 to 10 years. Some, less than a year or less than 5 years. Some even have been members for 21 or more years. So we have a good wide variety of members who have been members of our chapter for different periods of time. Next, we asked what type of STC membership they had. And by far, most of the members have professional academic membership, which is your IE basic, and followed by gold, which is where you can belong to all the SIGs and receive other benefits as well. And of those members surveyed, we even had some that were retired. So we wanted to kind of get that picture of the type of membership they had. Then we asked about what kind of online activities would you like to see regarding, informational activities. And so we enabled participants to answer, as many as they wanted to. So by far, you wanted single topic webinars and mini conferences. Mini conferences, in our case, being a half-day event with about 3 or 4 speakers and topics. So we wanted to get we wanted to stress online because since we cover a wide geographic area, it's not as feasible to hold in-person events. That's not to say we won't in the future, but it's a lot easier administrative wise to hold online activities. And plus it enables us to reach out to members beyond our geographic borders. So y'all want to see single topic webinars and mini conferences, and to much smaller extent, social meetings. And then we wanted to drill down as to what kind of topics you wanted to see in an online webinar or mini conference. And again, we enabled y'all to select as many as you wanted. The two most popular choices were software applications and documentation management. And as you can see, these are pretty wide topics. So, I mean, you could talk, you could find so many different subtopics within these two areas. But you can also see other items are popular, including networking, job hunting tips, and getting started. We also asked for any other, meaning if there were any other suggestions that you had, we solicited that. And on the next slide, we've summarized some of the more popular answers. So other responses to the types of webinars you'd like to see, of the ones that are listed here on the screen, the most popular ones were having to do with preparing PowerPoint presentations and editing skills, tips, and techniques. I probably should have put this in order, but I wanted to just have it on the page for y'all. So other popular options included having some sort of opportunities in technical communication. So that kind of related to one of the choices, but I think this was just all the different things that you can do within the realm of TechCom. Some other popular topics include interviewing subject matter experts, and also inexpensive alternatives for Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. So I know that's a pretty popular topic in terms of looking for alternate tools, especially if you do not have access to the more expensive ones. And of course, we self-expression is a popular topic as shown by writing for ebooks and starting and maintaining a blog. So you all gave some really good suggestions for topics. And as I'll do so later on in the presentation, if you know someone that can speak about these topics, we would love to have them present as part of our chapter at our chapter meeting or at any other time. And I'll talk more about that later, but I just want to give you a chance to share your knowledge of what you know and what you would like to share with others. So that was the different topics. And then we started talking a little bit about our social media presence. So we listed our different social media outlets and which of these have you viewed or visited. And the two most popular, as you see on the screen, are our websites and our LinkedIn site. So those are our two most popular sites. And to a certain extent, our Facebook and Discord areas are popular as well. And Twitter, not as much. But so this question helped us see what options we should focus on and where you're turning to for your information. Cindy, thank you for reminding everyone that if you have your TechCom certification, speaking at meetings and conferences give you your continuing education credits. So that's a really good incentive to participate. And you're doing so in a friendly environment and all that. So thank you. And then question 7 was a freeform question. So we asked for any suggestions or ideas you have for our chapter. And a lot of these are really, really good ideas. So I've summarized some, including having individual emails for event invitations. So if you want more of that personalized touch, that's an idea to have that. And this is a big one right here, plans for attracting younger TechCom professionals to the chapter, because as we know, and as you've heard at other events, the younger folks are our future. And so we want to make sure we get them into STC and to have them become active members of our community. So being able to attract them to our chapter, why should they be a part of us? That's something that we're just starting to work on. And then someone suggested more cooperative programs and events with North Texas chapters, with the Lone Star chapter. So we're starting to do that. We had a joint event back in September in which the members of that chapter came on board, and we were talking about all that we offer, and we would like to work with them for future events. So that's an ongoing relationship that we have with them. Another suggestion idea is having a newsletter. Whether you're providing content for it or having testimonials of why chapter membership is valuable to you. So having some sort of formal newsletter would help keep that information together. Another one suggested a working relationship with universities, including University of Houston and Sam Houston State University. And I'm sure there are other universities that have TechCom programs that would be great for them. Again, that would be a good reach, good point for outreach. Another suggestion someone had was talking about having information about our admin council. I know we have a section on our website, but if we could add pictures and bios, that way people get to know who we are and say, oh, there's so-and-so. And then if you want to be part of it, you could be on there too. And this one was really nice, a verbal invitation to submit an article and book reviews for a newsletter or blog. So someone has suggested, during our meetings, we actually invite you to do so. And, kind of doing so right now, but then I'll also do so again towards the end of our meeting when we have our general announcements. Because, everyone's input is valuable here, and we want to hear from you, and we're interested in what you have to share. So these were all some really good suggestions. So thank you to everyone who took the time to share this with us. And then we asked the question, what chapter activities deliver the most value to you? And the top three were our program meetings and webinars, our mini conference that we hold every year, and our admin council meetings. And the comment regarding the admin council meetings was that they enjoy knowing what's going on within the chapter and also getting to work with, getting to know the team members better. And so it's really heartening to know that people find what we do valuable. So thank you. And then we asked our chapter members, are you planning to renew your STC membership? And most of them, yes, absolutely. And then we dug in and we asked why or why not. So some of the reasons at random, I didn't sort them into yes or no, but I did want to share some of the more profound ones. So a lot of people noted that STC membership, they chose to renew because of the professional development opportunities, as well as getting a window into the TechCom field, trying, seeing what's the latest and everything. And some people saw the value in being able, membership enable them to gather information about different industries, the job market at large, and even how to resolve challenges within, what they're dealing with, whether it's with a specific tool or a certain issue that they're having. And one respondent who was planning not to renew felt that they did not want to support an organization that they felt put profits above members. So I wanted to present that as well, because it is fair to know both sides of why someone would want to renew and not renew. And we want to make sure that what we do as a chapter provides value. And then we asked, are you planning to renew your chapter membership with South Central Texas? And most of you have, or we're planning to, and hopefully most of you have. You have until January 31st to renew if you have not yet done so, if you want to be able to vote in the upcoming STC elections. Now, as to why people want to renew or not renew, the first one is our chapter is home. And even though I've been a member of this chapter for just a couple of years now, I feel like I'm at home. And even though I may be geographically apart from a lot of you, because I know most of you are based in Houston, I feel at home with you all. And you've always made me feel welcome. Other reasons for renewing, not renewing, you like to support your local group, your local chapter. And then some reasons for not renewing. Obviously, if you're not going to be a member of STC, you can't be a member of the chapter. However, you still can participate in chapter activities. They may not be free, but you will still have that opportunity to attend all of our webinars and all of our different events. And then one respondent had noted that since they have a long commute between work and home, they wouldn't be able to attend any of the evening events. And so they didn't know if having chapter membership would be of value. And I know the evening events sometimes can be hard. And that's why we try to record all of our virtual events when we can. And I know sometimes it's not the same as interacting right now within Zoom, but at least we still offer what we can in terms of educational events. And then we have our social media outlets in which we can have that sharing, whether it's through our Slack or LinkedIn, where people can still have that presence. So again, everyone has come up with some really thoughtful answers to the questions that we have. And at this point, oh yeah, I had one more question within this section, and I was going to pause for a little bit because I know I've talked a lot. I just have to get a sip of water and then pause for questions. And then finally, we asked what sentence best describes your current work location, and most of our chapter members work fully remote, and some of you work hybrid. So this question kind of helped because, as you will see, this question proved valuable because we have a special surprise for our members, and this helped us determine what surprise awaits. So at this point, I'd like to pause. Any questions or anything that you'd like to remark regarding chapter responses?
I find it interesting that no one works fully in the office anymore.
Well, at least of the members. When we share the unaffiliated members, we will find that some do. But you're right. It is interesting that none of the members or the chapter members, or at least the ones that took the survey, don't work fully in the office.
Yeah, I think it's changing a lot since COVID, because I did work fully in the office before before COVID struck in March 2020, and then I worked fully remote for 13 months, and then now it's a hybrid schedule. So some days in the office, some at home.
Well, these results reflect, I would say, October, November 2022. Mm-hmm. So situations may have changed for people since then, but all of these results were as of October 2022.
Yeah, I just think some companies actually decided to stay remote after the pandemic. I've heard of that, like getting rid of their buildings and everything. So
oh yeah, I heard about that.
Why some people are still fully remote.
Yeah, and I see that Lori works fully in the office and it's now required. So I think it just all, like you said, it all depends on the office. Because I know for mine, it's for our department, we could work fully remote. It's our choice. I mean, there's some people that choose to work in the office, and there's some that will choose both. So it's one of those, as long as the work gets done, work wherever you want. So you could be, yeah, go ahead.
Is there anyone who is not interested in working fully remote?
If you're asking people here, I am not, because I actually really like the social interaction at the office, and I would go in more often if it were not for the commute. If I didn't have a long commute full of Houston traffic, I'd probably go every day.
So of your coworkers, are enough there when you do go in to make it worth your while?
Yes. Yes, they usually are, because we have some days Well, we can work from home up to 3 days a week, but there are definitely times when quite a few are in the office.
And how long is your commute? How many miles is your commute?
10, but when I say 10 miles, that means 40 minutes in the morning and an hour in the evening because it's Houston. Yeah, so the mileage, I don't think, is what makes the difference. I will say, when you asked about how many people are there, so on Fridays, really there are not many people there because many people work from home. So Fridays, it's kind of, it does feel a bit pointless to come to the office on Fridays.
Yeah, I mean, I found like the only time I really come into the office is when we have large events, or if I need to meet with people at some of our facilities where obviously they can't work from home because obviously you can't fill prescription, you can't physically fill a prescription from home. So that's pretty much the only time I ever go in person, but doing my day-to-day job, I'm fully remote.
Actually, that's not completely true. A lot of companies like Walmart deliver pharmacy.
Well, I mean, I mean, delivery, I mean, you have to fill it somewhere. The place where I'm talking about, they're actually putting the pills in the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, there are different mechanisms for getting it from the, from the pharmacy to the patients. But the facility I'm talking about is like a central fulfillment facility where they're filling it and then they distribute it to all the different stores.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think it would be
and
interesting. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Oh, I was just going to say my office is actually half the employees work in a factory in the back, and they were working throughout 2020. They cannot work from home, so they are there in the office every day. So there's that split between the office and the factory.
I think it would be interesting over time to see what kind of effect the remote working versus on-site working has an effect it has on a technical communicator's career.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would think my perception would be that absence does not improve the perception of a person's value, whereas being on-site has a chance of doing so. But it'd be interesting to find out over time if that perception is accurate or not.
Right. Because I know
I'm sorry, Noel, would you rephrase that? I didn't quite follow your thought.
Basically, one of the thought I'm thinking is, over time, the person working remote does not have the interaction, obviously, with other individuals, particularly management. And consequently, I wonder if that would have a negative effect on that technical communicator's career at that company.
That they're not seeing their perceived level.
Less value.
Gotcha.
Guess all depends on where the management is, because at least in our department, our management work remotely.
Mhm.
Some of them may go in maybe once a week, but I think I know for us, we have weekly all staff meetings via Zoom. So that helps us with presence. So we see, who's there. But I see what you mean, Noel, with and I think it would probably all depend on where management is.
Yeah, my tech writing team is actually global, and I am the only one in Houston. So all our meetings are virtual anyway, whether I'm in the office or at home. And yeah, we do it on Microsoft Teams, do cameras, and my manager's not here either. She's in a different state. So it doesn't make that much of a difference to me.
Yeah,
I view this as a study that would take a couple of years to accumulate some data of any value, but nonetheless, it's an interesting topic to see what would happen in the future.
Hey, I foresee this as a future presentation. That would be an interesting study to do, or to introduce to students or whoever can gather the data, or be able to divide like what, determine the working situation, because we're all describing different work situations in which managers may not physically be there or not. But you're right about the overall, will they still, sense your presence, whether it's in person or virtual?
And what's more interesting is we're in the 3 years since COVID, which means there are 3 graduating classes from college, for instance, that knows nothing except working remotely.
That's another interesting aspect. Now, this is all interesting. So thank y'all for sharing this. This is, I mean, these are, good questions for thought, and, it'd be interesting to have, similar follow-up in the future to see what the effect is. And so with that, I'll go ahead and present the last part of the survey, in which we interviewed the unaffiliated members, those who do not belong to a chapter in Texas, or those who live in Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana who do not belong to a chapter, because obviously there are some states that don't have a chapter. So so we branched off. So these next questions, while some of them may be similar to what we asked chapter members, there are a few differences, and we saw some answers that were interesting as well with the unaffiliated members. So first of all, we asked those who are unaffiliated how long they've been members of STC. And most of the unaffiliated have been with STC for either a very short time or a very long time. So by far, over half of them have been a member for 5 or fewer years. And then we have almost a quarter of them who've been members for over 20 years. But I mean, we still have a good mixture of those in between, but by far those that we've talked to have been with STC for a very long time or a very short time. And then we asked them what type of STC membership do they have? And now we have at least more than a quarter of those asked are students. So from here, we know that there's several student members who are not affiliated with the chapter. Now, we didn't delve into, okay, if you're a student, why didn't you? We didn't go that granular in the survey, but that might be worth exploring, especially if we're trying to outreach to students and to new professionals, those who are new in the field. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then we asked the unaffiliated, where you plan to renew your STC membership? And here it's a lot more even than when we were asking chapter members. So some said yes, some said maybe. They weren't sure yet. And then again, remember that we asked these questions during October and November of 2022. So they still had until the end of the year to renew their membership. And so, like we did with the chapter results, we then asked why or why not. And the main reason for not renewing all boiled down to affordability. And the affordability came for different reasons, whether it was you're not working or you simply can't afford it, it's not within your budget. And one person even noted that there is a steep curve between student rates and regular rates. And I know that there's a new professionals rate for the first 3 years after you graduate, but even still, going from student rates to new professional rate to regular member rate is still fairly steep. And so those who've answered this question had admitted that, it's the affordability or lack of is the reason why they're not renewing their membership with STC. And then we asked if they'd previously been a member of a chapter. Now, I did put the right there, but we meant A, like any chapter, because this could have encompassed if you had belonged to the Houston chapter or any chapter that existed in the past. And it's a little more even here. About 60% said they've never been a member of a chapter and 40% have. And then we got a little bit of feedback. When were you a member? So there were some people that had been members from all the way from the early, the 1980s all the way to the 2010s. And then one person noted that they were a member back when Oklahoma had a chapter back in the 1980s and 90s. So there was a big wide range of responses here. So some may have been there during a couple of years during the 2000s, some were there during the 80s and 90s. So and I know in the past there have been a lot more geographic chapters, and I know a lot of them have either disbanded or merged, our chapter included, because again, South Central Texas chapter incorporates the whole area of Houston originally, and then San Antonio and Austin. And then we asked, why did you choose not to join the chapter when you renewed your STC membership? So this question was for those who had who chose to renew their membership, and we had some reasons that we assumed, and then we also had the other so people could provide their own reasons. And there were some where the chapter activities were at an inconvenient time, or they just didn't know there was a chapter they could join. So it all has to do with letting people know, hey, we do have a chapter here in Texas, in South Central Texas area. But it's interesting to look to see what the other reasons are, which I've summarized on the next slide. So why aren't you going to join the chapter if you're going to renew with STC? And it was a mixed bank of responses. We had one respondent mention a tragedy they had within their family. So it was one of those not on their minds. They were focused on dealing with their personal tragedy. There were some where they weren't sure they would benefit from belonging to a chapter, that they were happy with what they had already had. For some, their chapter had closed, so they didn't see a point of being part of a chapter. And one person noted that, it was an inconvenient time, and they talked about, this was an interesting comment, talking about they didn't join because they just didn't they were tired of being the one-armed paper hanger. I love that analogy because it's just, I think to me that means that you're busy, you're just trying to keep things up, and you're busy with that, to where any sort of chapter activities are, you wouldn't be able to focus on if you're trying to survive. And then finally, someone noted that they didn't know they could join a chapter at any time during the STC membership besides renewal time. So, and that's interesting to note, because you can join a chapter or a SIG at any time during your membership. And I know this is especially valuable with SIGs, because a lot of the SIGs, like the IDL or technical editing or the policies and procedures, they'll offer events that are of no charge to their members. And so a lot of times it makes more sense for people to join that special interest group and, save money. So like that $10 you pay right there, you get free programming for a year. So that's well worth it, rather than having to pay the $5 or $10 each time. So it's good to know that, we can let people know they can join anytime. They don't have to wait until they have to renew their membership. And then we asked those unaffiliated members what sentence best describes your current work location. And it's split between fully remote and hybrid. And there are a couple folks that work fully in the office, and there's some that none applied to them. So it could be for whatever reason, but I thought that this was, a more balance right here of working remote versus working in the work setting, the office setting, the non-home office setting, I should say. So overall, anybody have any questions or comments about the unaffiliated portion of the survey?
I thought it was interesting that none of them thought it was too expensive, and it really isn't, because it's $10 for chapter membership. But yeah, they were wondering if it could benefit them. And I also didn't know the phrase one-armed paper hanger and had to have that translated for me.
Yeah, it was I had heard it like a long time ago, but it's like I hadn't heard it in years. But I thought it was really clever. It was, but I mean, once you stop and think about it, it's pretty accurate. Some of our lives sometimes.
Now, no, go on.
Sorry, I was just wondering if paper hanger came from wallpaper or what.
Like, I think so. That's the phrase that I heard, the wallpaper hanger. Yeah.
Oh,
if you're trying to hold up that big piece
now.
of wallpaper. Although I don't know anybody that has wallpaper now. And
I
remember,
that's the thing. There's no more wallpaper either.
Or I remember those strips, the strips that went up on top of the ceiling.
Now the problem with renewing mid-year is that all memberships expire in December, and they're not prorated. So joining in July, sort of nonsensical.
I see what you mean. I guess it all depends on what sort of value that you foresee, like the example with the SIGs. Like, let's say if they have, 3 or 4 more programs from mid-year on, I mean, you can see some sort of savings there, but you do raise a valid point, Robert, with those chapter and SIG rates are not prorated.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
best bet is to wait until September and you get to join for the following year and the rest of the year you're in.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. Mhm.
But I actually think that's more for STC membership. I wouldn't see worth for the overall organization. Maybe it wouldn't be worth joining in July. But I mean, when you're talking $5 or $10, I don't know. I don't think that's a lot to pay. But I mean, could
No,
be wrong.
and also I agree with anyone who points out that the rates are high. I think STC membership is very high for sort of the services you get. I wish they would actually I would love them to move out of Washington, DC, one of the most expensive cities in the world.
So a couple things there. STC is not the most expensive one. They have really answered that question before. And we can probably find the information and share it with you all. The second thing is their footprint in Washington, DC is really much smaller than it used to be. So I don't know that those are the real issues. I mean, I think we've got membership as an issue and probably not making as much money on education as they need to make. Those are the issues.
Gotcha.
So Catherine is asking how many have membership fees paid or offset by employer. For me, they did reimburse me for membership. However, they did not at all for the summit.
And for me, it was opposite. I pay for my own membership, but my company pays for me to attend Summit.
Well, that's a much better value because we're talking a lot more money.
Yeah, because that's in terms of like travel and transportation and of course attendance.
Yeah, my company is supporting both, but it took a little bit of a fight, of a struggle.
I mean, I
Gotcha.
personally, I don't know about other technical communication organizations because I have not looked into those, but I actually joined the Society of Women Engineers, and the fees are, the year fees are about the same, I guess, but the conference is much, much, much cheaper. So I feel like that, I mean, for me, that's a better value.
And then I see in the chat, Catherine, I wonder if there's something we could provide new unaffiliated STC members to help them ask. Are you meaning like are you talking about information wise or just give them information about the chapter? Oh, to help them ask their employer to subsidize their membership?
Jamie, there's usually something before the summit about convincing your manager to send you to Summit.
I've seen that before. Yes.
And I wonder if we can find anything else about, renewing membership. That's a great idea.
That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, Catherine, that your company is very upfront about offering to help with professional membership. Yeah. I know if I were to ask my company, I probably would get my membership because I know they take care of membership for pharmacists for like the Pharmacists Association. But I think it's just one of those things to where I've just never asked. But you're right. It's good that you work for a company that that helps support you in that aspect.
And there's also a double standard, but it's been around so long I should be used to it. So I've always straddled the development world too, the developers, and the company has no problem paying for professional memberships for them. In fact, it's almost automatic, and they can go to any conference they want, of which there's a copious number. But when I ask for membership in STC or trip that the summit, that is just the most absurd thought they could come up with. You're a writer. Yes, I'm a writer. So I'm asking.
Exactly. I mean, it's like we have to increase our skills too.
That's interesting because they were much happier to cover the Society of Women Engineers, even though I'm not an engineer. They were for STC. So.
Well, Laura, I think the Society of Women Engineers has a lot of name recognition too, especially around Houston. Yeah.
And my company is very involved with them. They always have a booth at their their yearly conference. So yeah, I mean, they're very happy for people to join. And they need volunteers at the booth. So yeah.
This is not as dumb a question, I hope, as it sounds, but can men join?
Yes, men can join the Society of Women Engineers and non-engineers, because I said me, engineer.
That's
Actually,
not a dumb question at all.
At their conference, it was interesting because I was a little worried, since I'm not an engineer, that I wouldn't understand. But most of the sessions were about things like leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They weren't specific, like the technical details of engineering that I don't know. So
It was probably like, because I mean, everyone can benefit from those general topics.
Yeah.
So it's good, you know, getting it from their perspective and how they can apply it within their profession too, probably. Well, this is a really good discussion. So that was the survey, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time to take the survey and to provide their feedback. So this was really good information for us to help in planning for this year, for the programming, and to find out what people find valuable, and to help, you know, do what we can to increase membership and to increase the value of. And so now we have a few announcements, and then after we give the announcements, we'll go ahead and turn off the recording and just we could chat for a bit, because we'll have plenty of time. So just a few announcements for today. Oh, before that, I don't know if I accidentally erased the slide, but I do want to announce that we had winners of our gift cards, Robert Delwood and Donna Cunningham. They were the winners of the Amazon gift cards for a raffle for taking the survey. So congratulations to you both. And so now, without further,
No, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so now our first announcement is mini conference time. We are having our 4th annual South Central Texas mini conference in April 2023. We have not set the date yet, but we do know that it will be in April. And as mentioned, it'll be virtual this time. And so we are looking for people to speak on various technical communication topics, whether it could be anything, or especially some of the stuff that we brought up during our survey. If you or someone else would like to present, and in fact, as Cindy mentioned in the chat, if you speaking at events gets you your continuing education credit for your TechCom certification, go ahead and visit this link over here to see the list of topics and the link to submit your proposal. And basically, you'd be talking for anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, and then we have about 10 to 15 minutes built in for questions and answers. So that's pretty much the guideline that we have for knowing how long you would need to talk. Some people would need a little less time, but basically we're looking at about at least 5 speakers during the mini conference. And so it's a good time for people to come together to learn about different topics. And so we have our call for proposals here on the website, and let me see, but it's on our website. If you visit our website, it's the link that says 2023 mini conference. And again, the deadline is Friday, March 3rd. So we'd love to have you take part. And if you have something to share with us regarding technical communication, I mean, the topics are wide. We welcome them. Our next announcement is being part of the action. So we invite people to be part of our, to volunteer and to be part of our admin council. So one of the positions that we're looking for right now is treasurer. Now, even though we do have a treasurer, our treasurer probably want to step down pretty soon. So she's looking for someone. If you're interested in being treasurer for our chapter, please please email me and I'll get you in touch with her, and we'll and basically she has it worked out to where yeah, you do have some responsibilities as a treasurer, but it's not the daunting task that it might be. Again, you have some responsibilities, but she has automated several things to where you're it's simple to do. So and also if you'd like to volunteer to do whatever, just let me know, and we'll formulate more formal announcements, but I just wanted to share this. Cindy, thank you. Yes, remember, we're technical communicators, not treasurers. Yeah, so we're human. We're only human. We do what we can. And Lori, thank you for joining us. Lori Meyer is the chair of the STC Community Affairs Committee, and they're the ones that work as the conduits between the communities, i.e. chapters and SIGs, and the STC office. So whatever ideas or questions or comments you have, just let her know. So let me just, and then finally, I'm just clumsy tonight. We invite you to share your TechCom knowledge, and you can do so in many ways. You can do this for blog articles and reviews for any for our website. If you'd like to speak at one of our chapter meetings like this as a webinar, because we do have people that will speak, come in and speak and share information about a topic. Or if you have the grand idea and the execution, you could even facilitate a virtual workshop. Our most recent workshop, which we held in 2021 with Cindy, in fact, Cindy had conducted one on RoboHelp. She did it across 4-part series, and it was really successful. And so with our virtual workshop, it could be a one-day thing, it could be multiple nights, it could be whatever. So if you're interested in sharing your knowledge with us, please go ahead and email me and we'll go from there. But I'm serious when I want to invite you all to share, because like I've said before, and I'll keep on saying it, we all have something important to say. No matter where we are in our TechCom journey, whether we're at the beginning or whether we're at the middle or the end, or at a fork, we all have something important to share. And we like learning from each other. I like learning from you all, and this is a good chance for us to gain that confidence and experience. And we're not judgmental. We're a friendly group, and we're always receptive to hearing new ideas and everything. And so with that said, our next meeting will be sometime in February 2023. Normally we meet on the second Tuesday of the month, but we're not going to do that next month because that's Valentine's Day, and many of you will have plans already for that. But as soon as we have our next meeting lined up, we will share that information with you all. And so want to thank you all for attending. And now I'm going to